Top 10 Unbelievably Scary Details about Britain's worst serial pedophile killer, Robert Black. Welcome back to our channel, where we explore some of the darkest and most chilling true crime stories in history. In today's video, we're diving into the horrifying case of Robert Black, one of Britain's most infamous and yet least known pedophile serial killers. Black's reign of terror across the United Kingdom left a trail of young victims and shattered families. Join us as we uncover the top 10 most horrific facts about this monstrous criminal whose heinous acts have left a permanent scar on history. Potentially the worst killers of all time are serial pedophiles. Throughout the UK, teenage girls were the target of one of the worst but least well-known serial killers in history, Robert Black. Though he probably killed more young girls around Europe, he is known to have slain 4. Black was the focus of one of the biggest manhunts in British history during his terror reign. 10. Illegitimate Children. Scotland's Grangemouth saw the birth of Robert Black on April 21, 1947. After giving birth to Robert, his mother, Jessie Hunter Black, placed him up for adoption. In due course, Margaret and Jack Tulip, an elderly couple, took him in. Little Robert's life was far from easy even after he was spared foster care horror. 5 years ago, Jack Tulip passed away. Jack had thrashed his adopted son a lot. Margaret, though, thought raising Robert was unfeasible. About 8 years old, Black started a strange sequence of sexual experiments. Among these pursuits was inserting things into his own rectum. One of the most telling events in Black's early years, he claims, was starting primary school in the Kinlochleven community. Black there preyed on the less strong and smaller pupils. Because Black sometimes wet the bed at night and thought he should have been born a girl, such hostility might have concealed his own sense of inferiority. He first developed this second idea when he was 5 years old. Black and a girl schoolmate at that age would often compare their genitalia. Then, at 8 years old, Black brought one of his neighbor's kids home so he could have a look at her privates. 9, in fact. Sensual wild child. Robert was driven back into the welfare and foster home systems of the state by 1958. His new Kinlochleven family promptly reported him to the police when Black abducted and caressed a small child in a restroom. Reading Children's Home in Falkirk was home to Black next. There he was known as Smelly Robbie because of his poor hygiene. He detested taking baths. Black was still at Reading, both a victim and a bully. Black's fixation with sex worried me more than his passion for violence. 12 years old, he and 2 other boys attacked a little girl who was walking by herself in a field close to the orphanage. Every lad attempted, but was unable, to establish an erection in the girl's vagina. Black was merely to be sent to a Musselburgh orphanage as the only penalty, as none of the 3 were charged with any crimes. An older staff member at the Musselburgh orphanage sexually assaulted Black, 8 in all. First crimes. Early in the 1960s, Black secured employment in Greenock, Scotland, as a delivery boy for a butcher. He admits he enjoyed his time as a delivery guy because he utilized it to molest 30 to 40 local females. Black was first convicted formally for indecent behavior in the summer of 1963. He had taken a 7-year-old local child into an air raid bunker. Black choked the girl until she passed out as soon as she entered the empty building. Black erupted over the helpless girl on the ground. Then he left as though nothing had happened. Surviving, the girl was discovered by a bystander later that day. 7th, Prelude to Horror. Black spent not long in prison. His old behaviors were back, and he was living on the streets by 1966. He attacked his landlord's 9-year-old daughter sexually that year. Black was not only compelled to leave his flat, but also lost his job. Back in Kinlochleven, he moved. There, Black preyed once more on the daughter of his landlady. His victim was just 7 this time. Black was ordered to Polmont Borstal in Brightons for a year of training. He spent 1968 in that rehabilitation facility. The young serial killer then relocated to London. Living in London, Black used to go to a bookshop that sold child pornography. He started gathering a sizable amount of child pornography, including films from Denmark, which was at the time pursuing the legalization of all kinds of pornography and periodicals like teenage sex. 6 numbers, killing Jennifer Cardy. August 12, 1981, found Jennifer Cardy kidnapped close to her Ballinderry, County Antrim, Northern Ireland, home. She was just 9 years old. Found behind some hedges not far from the Cardy family home, Cardy's red bicycle was the first piece of evidence to surface in the case. Cardy's body was found 6 days later in McKees Dam, close to Hillsborough. Beginning on August 19, 1981, police reconstructed the crime scene by having other girls dressed like Jennifer and travel the same path as she had that day. The August 18th rain meant that Jennifer had probably pulled over beneath a tree by the side of the road for cover. Her killer came upon her and made her an offer of transportation. When Black was found guilty of multiple other offenses decades later, the police disclosed that he had been a delivery driver in 1981, traveling all throughout the United Kingdom, 5 in fact, killing Susan Maxwell. Karen Young recalled seeing Susan Maxwell, 11, walking alone across a bridge over the River Tweed in Coldstream, Scotland, in 1994, more than 10 years after Robert Black killed her. Susan had asked journalist Liz Maxwell, her mother, earlier in June 1982, whether she can ride her bike to her friend Alison Rabin's house to play tennis. Liz objected, so Susan slipped out to meet Alison in Coldstream. The 2 girls spent an hour playing tennis there, after Susan was driven into town by a farmer. The females then split ways, promising to get together to go to a nearby festival a week later. A van drew up beside Susan as she crossed the bridge at about 4:15 p.m. Driving, Black could see a field that was unoccupied just beyond the bridge. After parking his van, he bided his time till Susan approached. Susan vanished off the face of the earth until August 12th, when delivery driver Frank Dale discovered her dead close to a group of trees. Though Susan was found fully clothed, her underwear had been taken off and put under her head. Decomposition made a cause of death impossible to ascertain, but a coroner's report did reveal that Susan had been chained and plastered over, in addition to having been sexually abused. 4, in fact, killing Caroline Hogg. That July 8, 1983, evening was pleasant and sunny by all accounts. But because of its lovely weather, most in the Edinburgh area of Portobello do not recall July 8th. 5-year-old Caroline Hogg was kidnapped that day from the street after leaving the Portobello Promenade celebration. Caroline had pleaded with her mother for a few further minutes outside on the last afternoon of her life. Witnesses in Portobello recalled seeing Caroline having a good time at the Fun City Fair. Caroline's parents called Lothian and Borders Police after she didn't arrive home by 7 p.m. that evening. One of the biggest manhunts ever in Scottish history followed. Apart from the police and 50 Royal Scots Fusiliers soldiers, 2,000 volunteers combed Edinburgh. Caroline vanished 10 days ago, and her body was found in England, just over the border. The degree of decomposition of the body prevented a determination of the cause of death. Activity of insects on the body indicated that Caroline had been killed on July 12th. According to later testimony, Black had held Caroline in his van for a whole day before she died, not 1 but 3, the Sarah Harper killing. Police in Scotland and England decided that the same perpetrator who had killed Susan Maxwell had also slain Caroline Hogg. Every piece of information about the killings had been entered into the groundbreaking Holmes Information Technology system by early 1987. Sadly, Robert Black killed again without the intervention of any British police force. Sarah Harper, age 10, went to K&M stores on Wednesday, March 26, 1986, to get a loaf of bread and some potato chips. Later, the proprietor reported to the police that Sarah had left the store at 7:55 p.m. Sarah's family concentrated on a yard behind the Miles Spencer business after she didn't come home that evening. Not sure why. For Sarah used to play there with her sister Claire. Black delivered to that same Miles Spencer store as well. April 19th, 1986, saw Sarah's remains discovered floating in the River Trent, close to Nottingham. Sarah had died 5 to 8 hours after her kidnapping, according to an autopsy. The official reason of death was drowning. Additionally discovered by the autopsy was Sarah's live toss into the river. Not one but two, the child abduction of Teresa Thornhill. Teresa Thornhill counted herself among the fortunate. She made it through to fall into Robert Black's care. April 23, 1988, saw Black in Nottingham's Radford area. To entice Teresa Thornhill, 15, into his car, he staged engine problems. Black would have thought Thornhill was a much younger girl because she was just about 150 centimeters, 4'11", tall. Thornhill was walking her boyfriend Andrew Beeston home that evening. The pair split up at Norton Street. A blue van pulled in front of Thornhill once she was by herself. Once out of the van, Black lifted the hood. "Does Teresa know how to fix engines?" he asked. Black snatched Teresa from behind as she started to leave after saying no. Teresa struggled mightily. She gave Black punches and kicks and a testicular squeeze so strong he had to release her go. Hearing Teresa cry, Beeston hurried over to the scene. Once Teresa was free, Black drove out into the darkness. Number 1, kill, conviction, and more murders. 90 years ago, Black was arrested. At Stowe, Scotland, police discovered an injured 6-year-old girl hooded, bound, and gagged in the back of Black's work van. He told the arresting authorities he had sexually abused the girl only minutes before when he was brought back to the Selkirk police station. August 10, 1990, saw Black found guilty of kidnapping and sexual assaulting the unidentified schoolgirl. The case's evidence led the Edinburgh High Court to sentence Black to life in prison. A fresh trial 4 years later found Black guilty of Susan, Caroline, and Sarah's murders. 2011 saw Black's conviction for Jennifer Cardy's murder more than 10 years later. Just 4 years remained in his life. Black passed away of a heart attack at the age of 68 on January 12, 2016. His final address was a cell in Maghaberry Prison in Northern Ireland. Black had no family members claim his body. Many conjectured both before and after Black's death that the serial murderer was behind further killings in the UK and throughout Europe. And that concludes our deep dive into the disturbing and chilling life of Robert Black, one of the most evil pedophile serial killers in history. His horrific crimes have left an indelible mark on countless lives and remind us of the darkness that can lurk in the shadows. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up and share it with others who are interested in true crime stories. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more unsettling tales and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thank you for watching and stay safe out there.